Good morning, colleagues, faculty, staff, Mr. Brown, honored guests, our distinguished graduates, and our online participants around the country who are with us virtually through our webcast. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Center for Advanced Legal Studies 63rd Commencement. I would like to acknowledge our generous host, South Texas College of Law, for our wonderful facilities, and extend my warmest congratulations to all those receiving certificates and degrees. You have long anticipated this day, some with eagerness, some with anxiety, some with a complicated mix of emotions. But whatever you are feeling today, you deserve to hold a keen sense of pride. Certainly all those gathered here celebrate with you, regardless of how you accomplish this milestone. Whether through our online Saturday classes or the weekday program, we have tremendous pride in you. I'd like to start with recognizing a very important group of people. To the family and friends with us, thank you for the encouragement you have offered, and in many cases, for the sacrifices you have made. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge those of you who have helped our graduates along the way. Would you please stand? That's everybody here. These remarkable individuals tolerated the late nights of homework and studying as you balanced work, family, and educational goals. It is a fantastic achievement for each of you to have made it here. You have all come to CALS with aspirations about what education could make possible, and with dreams about how your lives would be changed, recognizing the hard work, dedication, and overcoming obstacles. I would like to mention our LEX nominees and our honor students. These students have demonstrated due diligence in their academic progress and attendance. LEX is the National Honor Society, sponsored by the American Association of Paralegal Education. Graduates of LEX must have a 95% attendance and a 3.9 grade point average. Center for Advanced Legal Studies also has their own honors program, and these graduates are extraordinary in their achievements because with all that life can bring, they still maintained 100% attendance and a 4.0 grade point average. Could I have all of our honors and LEX graduates please stand? Could you please give them a round of applause? You can be seated. You will note that all of our honors and LEX graduates will be designated in the program, and they all have a gold cord to signify this special achievement. Speaking of cords, if you are wearing a red, white, and blue cord, please stand. Jarius, this cord represents your service to our country. We would like to recognize and thank you for defending the freedoms that we all enjoy every day. And now I would like to introduce Mr. Eric Happy to share his insights on your journey and provide acknowledgement to the faculty and dedicated administration, which is a hallmark for our 32-year tradition of excellence in developing paralegals.
Thank you, Tammy. Again, my name's Eric. I think a lot of you, especially the students, saw me at one point or another in one of your classes during orientation. But mainly I'm here to introduce and recognize our staff and faculty. The success of a college or a program within that college requires the dedication and hard work of its staff. The center is fortunate to have a very dedicated and hard-working staff. Many of you know them well, but there are some you may not have worked with as closely. So I want to introduce and acknowledge them now. So I'm not sure where they are. But Crystal Camacho is probably hiding out in the lobby. But if you ever call up to the center or attend our campus, you'll definitely meet Crystal probably first. She does a great job, and she always has a smile and a wonderful laugh. Leticia Ramirez has helped many with their financial aid, and Leticia is probably also hiding up in the lobby, so I can't see her. Pete Becerra, where's Pete? They're all hiding. I know they're here. I saw them. They all right, so Pete, he works in our accounting. He's the bursar, and a lot of you have heard from Pete when it's time for payments to be due, etc. Randy Jerding, she's watching from home. She's the course developer. You see her in all your classes, and when you open a trouble ticket, usually you'll hear from Randy. Nathan isn't here today. He helps with our marketing and our website, and so he kind of works behind the scenes to make our website look really cool. And Maria Villanova, she is a teaching assistant, and she is probably back at the campus making sure that our classes are going smoothly right now. Lori Baggett is our financial aid director. You've worked with her. She does a wonderful job. Elaine Propus in admissions isn't here today. This is the first time in years she hasn't attended. She had an event out of town. James Sheffer. Finally, a brave soul that's not afraid to say, James, yes, James. Many of you work with James during your enrollment, and he does an excellent job getting everyone situated. Tammy Riggs, you've met. She will be your best friend in the career services area when you're looking for that first job or your next job. And finally, our co-founder, our school director, and my father, Doyle Happy. He was working at the school before there was a school, getting it, founding it and getting it created. So for myself and on behalf of our entire staff, I congratulate you on your accomplishments and wish you the best of luck in life and with your careers. But what really defines a school, what really makes it, are the students and the faculty. They are who make a great learning experience. I think you guys have experienced that hopefully here at the center. And that's what makes a great school. Center for Advanced Legal Studies is fortunate to have an excellent, qualified, and experienced faculty, and an abundance of truly amazing students, many of which are graduating today. That's you guys. So in a little while, we will be acknowledging each of you individually as you walk across here to get your credentials. I want to now acknowledge our faculty, who I'm sure were tough on you at times, but it's apparent, no comment, but it's apparent how much you appreciate their commitment to your education from the many great things said about them in the personal statements that you guys provided. Almost all of them at some point thanked a faculty member or referred to the instruction that you received. So that makes us feel great. So anyway, I want to introduce our faculty. One person who texted me right before, and he's watching, I know, is Larry King. A lot of the online students, it's your first instructor you've ever seen in a live class was Mr. King, and he really regrets not being able to be here. He usually is, but he wanted me to extend his congratulations to you. So congratulations for Mr. King. Also, we have Aida Zimnicki, Mrs. Z. Yes. Mrs. Zimnicki is and it's Zimnicki, just for the record. I got that right. She may be one of the only instructors that every student actually has in class. I don't know that you can escape Mrs. Zimnicki. Not if you try. And you probably had her for several classes. She's been with us for over 10 years, and before that taught in paralegal programs for 15. She has, I think, close to 30 years of experience instructing paralegals. So we're glad that she's part of our faculty. Denotra Stewart. You moved, you shifted. Denotra teaches both on campus and online, and she usually teaches family law. Gary DeSario. Gary's involvement with the school goes back to its formation. He actually assisted with the development of the corporation that later became the school, all that legal stuff. And so he's also been on our advisory board for 30 years. And so, and now he's teaching. So hopefully a lot of you have had him for civil procedure, some of the other classes. James Carey. James Carey, interesting. 20 plus years ago, I guess, I was working in admissions like James, and I actually enrolled Mr. Carey into the paralegal program that you guys are graduating from today. And fun fact, he went on to get his law degree, and he is now teaching, a member of our teaching faculty here at Center for Advanced Legal Studies. So I think that's a great accomplishment, and we're glad to have him here on staff. Sahar Grovis, again. If you first take online classes, usually most students have Mr. King and Sahar Grovis, and they just make a great dynamic duo to get everyone started. And so she teaches interviewing and investigation online, personal injury, sometimes computers in the law, anything we can throw at her. And we also have Joy Oden. So Joy teaches both of our English classes. She's fantastic. So if you're a certificate student, you may not have had English, but if you go on to the associate's degree, you will definitely have one of her classes. I think she does. I think she makes English fun and very interesting. It is fun. She doesn't have to make it fun. It already is. That's right. Thank you. Greg Ike teaches our government course and has so for many years. So did I leave anyone out? I feel like I'm at the Oscars. Oh, I did. Carlos. I have you right here. Carlos Mack. Carlos, how can I forget Carlos? Carlos actually was on staff for many years working with our financial aid department. And so then she got her master's degree and is now teaching psychology and teaching elsewhere. Younger folks, a lot younger than you, I think, right? So welcome back. And so that's most of our faculty, but finally, I want to introduce Mr. Tom Swanson, our academic dean. A lot of you may know this, but Mr. Swanson was the first instructor at Center for Advanced Legal Studies in 1987. He was probably 14 when he started teaching. And he's taught virtually all of our 6,000 plus graduates. He was instrumental in establishing our paralegal curriculum and has taught pretty much every course we've ever offered. He kind of wrote the book. In fact, he's written several books. Mr. Swanson teaches exclusively on campus, so if you took all of your courses online, you likely didn't have an opportunity to have a class with him. I guess I need to work a little harder to get him online. I've been saying a few things, and he kind of gets that way a little bit. I think he's getting close. Still, it's hard to imagine him behind a computer instead of in front of a class. So with no further delay, I introduce Mr. Tom Swanson.
I always say this, I don't know why we have these. Everybody can hear me whenever I talk. I want to welcome all of you here today, and I relive every time I come here the amazement of the turnout that we get. I mean, how tough are you guys? You must be special operations people to be able to navigate through Houston on a day when they're having a foot race around town by, in some sort of 8K race, that sort of thing, on slippery streets. So, at any rate, welcome here, and I know it was tough to get here, but that tells you what we're here about. We have a lot of rituals in the world, and some of them are sad, like funerals, and some of them, as a father, are expensive, like marriage, okay, that sort of thing. But the celebration of achievement, to me, is my favorite. Where you get a whole bunch of people together, and they get to celebrate what their friends and relatives have done. So I'm not going to speak long because we have an excellent guest speaker today, but I do want to say to you all and the people that are all over the country that go forth and be successful. Go forth and establish your value. Keep in mind, you're not wanted, you're needed. Okay, so go out with that feeling, and I wish you all the very best, and thank you so much for being here today. Thank you. One more thing. Crystal, stand up. We've been waiting on you. That's Crystal Camacho, as introduced before. So, thank you very much.
I'm so excited to introduce our guest speaker. Chevazz Brown is a partner at Jackson Walker, where he counsels and represents companies of all sizes in a wide range of commercial disputes, successfully resolving complex commercial and tort-based litigation involving breach of contract, breach of fiduciary duty, negligence, fraud, and more. Mr. Brown rose quickly at Jackson Walker, becoming a very young partner in the firm, and has achieved a high degree of professional recognition. He is one of few attorneys to garner the distinction of super lawyer by his peers, and he is recognized by the legal community for his accomplishments. Before joining Jackson Walker, Mr. Brown had the distinct honor of serving as law clerk to the Honorable Kenneth M. Hoyt of the United States District Court for the Southern District of Texas, Houston Division. This is a very notable accomplishment. Clerkships in federal courts are very competitive, considered quite prestigious roles, and are offered only to a small percentage of law graduates. Mr. Brown was a stellar student at Thurgood Marshall School of Law, graduating summa cum laude and class valedictorian. However, Mr. Brown's success has not diminished his spirit of generosity and giving back. He is a great supporter of law students and paralegals, and his involvement in numerous community activities speaks to his willingness to remain at the forefront of important causes. One of Mr. Brown's law school professors described him as the embodiment of the most noble values of the legal profession, caring for those who have less, giving back to his school, giving back to his community, and anyone who needs his help, and willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Chevazz Brown.
Good morning, and welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, faculty and staff, to our administrators, to our families and friends that are with us this morning, and welcome to our graduates, both those that are with us this morning and those who are joining us from afar. Welcome, and thank you for inviting me to share this very special day with you. Congratulations to our graduates, and congratulations to our families and friends. And I know we gave you some love earlier this morning, but you don't have to stand up, but I'd like to see some hands of all of our families and friends, and half raises are okay. Where are you at? Okay. I'm positive that none of our graduates were able to achieve this feat without the love and support of you. So thank you for your support of our graduates, and congratulations. Graduates, congratulations. I know it was not easy. I spent some time learning a little bit about your curriculum and some of the coursework, and it immediately brought back some memories of my time in school, some very good, some not so good. And so I know firsthand the hard work, the sacrifice, and the perseverance in whatever form that took for you to achieve this accomplishment. My message to you this morning is short and sweet. It's that you're a critical component of this legal game. A critical component of this legal game. And I know you've spent a lot of time learning about the books of being a paralegal, but I can tell you, having been out in practice now for almost 11 years, you are a critical component of this process. And I thought to myself, how can I best describe that, or explain that, illustrate that to you and to our guests this morning, other than just saying it? And so I thought I'd just give you a real-life story of a very difficult case I handled a couple of years ago. But I'll tell you, by virtue of the skills you received in this program, you will be a critical component in whatever legal setting you end up in, whether it's in a private law firm, whether it's in an in-house legal department, whether it's in a nonprofit organization, whether it's in a governmental legal department, whatever setting that is, you will have a critical role. A couple of years ago, I was on the beach in South Beach, Miami, working on my base, and I get a phone call from one of my credit union clients that they're in a bind. They're faced with two competing court orders. There was a nasty dispute between a brother and a sister over who would care for their elderly mom, and more importantly, her money, her $700,000. The brother, unbeknownst to everybody, somehow transferred all of the mom's money from her account into his account on deposit with my client credit union. The sister found out about it and initiated guardianship proceedings in Illinois and obtained a court order ordering my client to transfer all of that money to her. The brother, aware of that court order, filed his own guardianship proceeding not too far from here in small town Texas, and was about to receive an order ordering my client to transfer the money to him. So my client was faced in this predicament, and it transferred the money to the sister in Illinois 18 minutes before the small town court ordered it to transfer the money to the brother. The brother and the small town judge didn't like that, and I got called up to this small town, and I went and I got chewed out. And after that hearing, the brother's lawyer got in my face and said, "Mr. Brown, now that you see how we do things up here, I expect to see that money back in my client's account tomorrow." And I said, "Well, first you need to back up out my face." And no, that's not going to happen. And from there, I immediately put on my thinking cap and thought, how can I best represent my client? And I was able to convince my client that we are going to get sued in this small town, and the chances of us losing at the trial level was very high. So let's bring the fight to them. And that's what we did. We sued the brother in the county favorable to us, where we have our primary headquarters and where we do a lot of business. If you learn about civil procedure, you know about venues and how important that is. So we filed the lawsuit, and off to the races. Not only did I file the lawsuit, but we asked the court in our county to enjoin or restrict the brother and his lawyer from taking any action in small-town Texas. And my opponent saw what I was doing and mimicked my move and did the exact same thing and asked small-town judge to enjoin me from taking any action down in my county. My county's judge agreed, issued the order, restrained the brother and his lawyer from taking any action in small town, and the brother and his lawyer violated that order and proceeded and got the small town judge to issue an order against me and my client from taking any action in my county. And so we have two competing TROs, injunctions that I'm sure you've learned about. And rather than violate the order, we appealed to the appeals court. And the appeals court agreed with us and said, small town judge, you're to stand down, everything is put on hold, and parties go fight down in Galveston. And that's what we did. We litigated this case for almost 2 years, and there was a lot of work, a lot of discovery, I'm sure a term that you all have learned quite a bit about. And of course we won. We got the court in Galveston to grant our motion for summary judgment, a term that I'm sure you are aware of. That was a very difficult case. And I tell you that because it illustrates the role of the paralegal. What I didn't tell you is all of what went behind the scenes, the unsung hero, and the role that my paralegal, my colleague, played in that case, Yola. Her name is Yola. Yola is in her late 50s, young 60s. We've been working together for 11 years now. After learning about the dispute while I'm working on my base in South Beach, Miami, I immediately called Yola. And Yola immediately began pulling the pleadings from both courthouses, both in small town Texas and up in Illinois. And it just so happened that, as you'll find, it won't be so convenient. These pleadings weren't available online. So she had to figure out how to get them, and quickly, and to me. Immediately, she began the fact investigation. I didn't. She did. Immediately, she called the client, got on the phone with the client, coordinated receiving documents, receiving records, identifying what information was pertinent to the defense and ultimately to the prosecution of our claim. She immediately investigated the brother and the sister and their lawyers and the courts. When I got called up to small town Texas and asked why my client transferred that money, I had a beautiful notebook with all the pertinent documents that were necessary in that case. After that hearing, after my opponent got in my face, my first call was not to my client. My first call was to my paralegal. Brainstorming. What can we do here? What are our options? What, Yola, in your 25 plus years experience as a paralegal, has helped in these types of situations? And it was her that reminded me that several years ago we had a very similar case in which we had parties, the same issues going on in two different venues. And she reminded me about this concept called dominant jurisdiction. The first court in which the dispute was filed had jurisdiction to decide this dispute to the exclusion of every other court. And that reminded me, well, I'll tell you what, let's file first. Let's choose our venue. That originated from Yola. I didn't file the petition. I didn't even draft the petition initially. Yola pulled it up. She put together the template. She researched all the briefing we did years ago in which that dominant jurisdiction was an issue. And she put that initial draft together for me. So I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. With all the things I have going on, she made my life a lot easier. When we had our hearings in the various courts, I was informed of the special rules in each court's local procedures. Local procedures, I'm sure, is a term that you all learned about. It's so critical that our paralegals and the lawyers know what the court's procedures are going to be. If I'm missing X, Y, and Z, that may impact the representation. She got online, she found out those rules, she advised me of those rules, and where there was ambiguity, and there was, she called the courthouse and figured it out. When the small town judge slapped me with that injunction, Yola prepared the template for our petition of writ of mandamus, a term you probably have heard of when we have to ask the appeals court to reverse the trial court's decision because he or she abused their discretion. She found it. She put the template together for me. She was intimately familiar with the appellate process and the rules that go with that. I didn't have much experience with the appellate process, but she did in her 25 years of experience. Things got calendared properly, and as our deadlines approached, I was consistently reminded to get her my part, whatever that was, for example, reviewing the pleading, reviewing that letter. As discovery came in from the other side and from our client, she was the one who reviewed the documents. She was the one who assessed those documents for relevancy and how they would hurt or harm our case, and I relied on that. And if we had gone to trial, we didn't, we were fortunate, but had we gone to trial, she would have prepared our exhibits, she would have advised me of the local rules, she would have communicated with the court, and she would have sat right there next to me at the table, assessing the jury, assessing the judge, and we would huddle up at the end of the day, as we have on numerous other occasions, to prepare for the next day. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. As you can see, Yola was a critical component of that process. And so I'll tell you, regardless of the setting that you end up in, you too will be a critical component of that process in a very similar way. Whether it's litigation, whether it's a transactional or corporate environment, whatever that environment is, you have a role, and it is a critical role. So I'm fortunate to work not only with Yola, but many other paralegals at Jackson Walker. It is a great firm, and I wanted to not only deliver this message to you today, but also to give you some advice. And so I solicited some advice from the folks who would know our paralegals. And so I'm going to share with you just some points that they shared with me. No matter what type of law you practice, whether it's bankruptcy, probate, litigation, study the code and the local rules. I studied these things, and it has made me a valuable member of my team. Study books on grammar, punctuation, and spelling. I looked at the courses you took, and I know that English is one critical class of yours. I will tell you, I rely on my paralegals to draft those letters for me, to draft that petition for me, to draft that discovery for me. And it's great that it comes back to me in a polished format. No grammatical errors, it flows, it's consistent with our style. And so it's one of those things that you have to work on, and it's true for everybody, including attorneys. Your written work product is absolutely critical, and that's something that will differentiate you from other paralegals. Learn to bake. That was an interesting one. Learn to bake. It helps you make friends at your new place of employment. It's true. We have all sorts of goodies up there all of the time. But to the point is, you're in a professional environment. You work with these people on a day in and day out basis. We're spending a lot of time together. I'm spending more time with you than you're spending with your kids and your spouse. And so it's important that we get along and that we do have a professional relationship. Own your own case. Think of your case not just as a task list, but as something you would have to stand up and talk about in front of a jury or a boardroom. Educate yourself about the issues so you can speak intelligently about them. Be on the lookout for things that are both good and not so good for your client. For your client. It's not just my client. This is our client. This is our representation. We're in this together. I'm not going up to small town Texas by myself. You're coming with me, if not in person, in spirit. Keep up in the media and know what's going on with your client and the other side. A periodic Google query and quick review takes no time at all. Your client and your lawyer will appreciate that you are invested in the process and in the representation of the client. This is the one thing that has had the most impact in terms of adding value to the team, providing me with enjoyment for what I do, and advancing my career. You play a critical role in this process. Be very proud of what you do. There's so much opportunity out there. And sure, there are challenges in this career, but those challenges are no different than any of the challenges that exist out there. And so, congratulations to our graduates, and good luck as you go out into the world and do your thing. Thank you for having me this morning.
We have a small token of appreciation for Mr. Brown, so I'm going to ask him to stay up here and once again have you give him a warm round of applause for his insights. At this time, we would like to recognize our Paralegal Certificate and Associate of Applied Science degree in Paralegal Study graduates who have been unable to attend but are watching through the live stream with their friends and family from states across the U.S. I would ask for you to hold your applause till the last graduate's name has been called. Casey Renee Beadle, Tyrone Barry Jr., Ashley Victoria Bias Johnson, Kayla Lynn Brewster, who is also a Lex nominee, Amber Taylor Cameron, Jace Spencer Carr, Angela Castaneda, Latasha Nicole Castillo, Taylor Marie Cicero, Tyler Donald Crather, also a Lex nominee, Tadra Sharoyce Curtis, John C. Dice, Adele Nicole Farrell, Morgan Lee Govan, a Lex nominee, Charity Gabrielle Greenwood, Catherine Hunt, a Lex nominee, Scott James Carliner, a Lex nominee, Amanda Nicole Craig, Karen Lavette Lowry, Pamela Therese Lycos, a Lex and Honors graduate, Rachel V. MacArthur, a Lex graduate, Nellie Macias, Brandy Ashley McFarland, Janine Medina, Casey Evelyn Moore, a Lex graduate, Laurelyn Ann Morgan, Taylor Ray Norman, a Lex graduate, Gina Patel, a Lex graduate, Joanna L. Reyes, Lydia Rodriguez Paleo, Cole Reese Sorensen, Jessica Malin Stutzman, a Lex graduate, Hillary Leanna Swain, elects nominee. Stephanie Elaine Tarver, also elects nominee. Cynthia Jeanette Tyne, elects and honors graduate. Rebecca Turner. Alexis Renee Valadez. Carmen Villafranca, elects nominee. Renee Nicole Ward. Jennifer Lynn Welch. Kathleen M. Wolf. Nicole Renee Wright. Cheryl Ray Bounds, elects nominee. Trayvon Craig Brown, also a veteran. Carol Alice Burton, elects nominee. Mari Angeli Castillo. Felicia L. Giles. Tiffany Ann Green. Renee June Hempel. Jessica Joe Jones. Carissa June Lettuce. Kimberly Lynn Robinson. Kyle M. Tatum, also a veteran. And Charlene Prashima Elizabeth Young. Please let's give them a round of applause. Now I'm going to acknowledge our certificate program graduates. And I think I spoke with the first person in the row, but yes, there she is. So if you guys would just like to file out in order by row and line up, I think we'll just be able to come around. Staying in alphabetical order. Yeah, and then you can just walk right down here. Okay, are we ready? Hang on just a second. All right, I'm going to start. Cecilia Avina. Iman Jihad Banks. Catherine D. Bogdan, elects nominee. Joanne Lynn Coren. Farzana Darwesh. I have lost my place. I'm so sorry. But this is not the person who's next. Robin C. Doe. Sheila Dunn, elects nominee. Brittany Cassandra Nicole Edwards. Nicholas Aaron Elmore. Paula Gomez. Maria de Jesus Gonzalez. We got it all in, didn't we? Exa Angeline Cassell Griffing. Elects nominated graduate. Bernice Gutierrez, elects nominee. Catherine Faye Hawkins. Destiny Lene Hightower. Jessica Jean Hood, also a Lex nominee. Liliana Naomi Lopez. Mackenzie Reed McWilliams. Stephanie Melton. Desiree Michelle Mendoza. Carolyn Ann Mitchell, a Lex nominee. Corina Marie Morales, Lex and Honors. Joanna Nava. Lakeisha Pooh, a Lex nominee. You're out of order, but I'll call you. It's okay. We're just skip through. Come on, Danny. Danny Solomon. Robin Karen Reese. Glenn Risley, a Lex and Honors graduate. Janina Talia. Norca D. Vera. Vanessa Guadalupe White, a Lex nominee. Karen DeShale Willis. And Daryl Tyrone Young, Jr., a Lex nominee. I probably was supposed to say hold your applause till the last graduate, but it worked out okay. Let's give them all a round of applause. All right, are you guys ready? Go ahead and file out. I'm going to recognize our Associate of Applied Science degree program individuals. Okay. Jarius Kyle Buffer, who's also our veteran. April Michelle Buzard. Megan Lee Decker. Kristen Ford. Lorene Lynn Hartfield. Shanna Lynn London. Adelaida Moran. Tanitra Monique Smith. And Robin Joan Taylor. One more time, a big round of applause. Congratulations. Now, if you guys will stand the moment you've been waiting for, we are going to confer your degrees, and I will ask all of you to move your tassel from the right to the left. It looks like some of you have already done that, but now it's official like. Congratulations. So I know that I interrupted the photography line, and there were several of you waiting to have your photos taken. I do apologize. He will stay after. Hang on. You're so ready. He will stay after to take photographs. We would like to get a group photo of our certificate and our associate. So before you go up front to pick up your transcript and your diploma, if I could ask our graduates to just stay with us a moment longer so that we can capture that photo, it would be really appreciated. On behalf of myself and staff and faculty and everyone here and Mr. Brown, thank you so much for coming to the graduation and in celebrating our graduates' accomplishments. Have a great day, everyone.